of owning a cafe and other heroic deeds by Beware the Tisteril. Chapter 61. Monday, Part 1. The Monday after his admittedly wonderful latest date saw the final week of the school year before the summer vacation set in for his tots, Naoki, and his high school or university attending care center siblings, two of whom were already enjoying full scholarships with a third hoping to do the same. He couldn't have been prouder of them for settling down and studying for what they dreamed of doing. Sure, a fancy piece of paper declaring that you had a degree wasn't the be-all, end-all. However, there was no arguing that most careers called for them these days. And boy, did his siblings have big dreams. Naoki, of course, was well on his way to becoming a pro. There was no degree needed, of course, but he knew the youngest member of his first found family had had to work hard for his provisional hero license and was a shoo-in for a full license next year. Seiji, the second youngest of their group, his quirk considered useless. It was called stretch and simply allowed him to distend his limbs, fingers, and toes by a few inches. The bullies at his elementary school had found it hilarious before he'd stepped in and erased theirs to see how they'd feel without their brilliant gifts. He had been proactive in its application. He was going to be an excellent physiotherapist and had already started work experience in one of Tokyo's best physical health centers alongside his school studies. Both of them would be 17 and 18 before he knew it. The twins, Tadeo and Takeo, both quirkless, had beaten the odds too. Now 19, they'd been thriving at Bukkyo University since the academic year began in April, at first when they'd been moved to Kyoto. He'd been worried. He'd had no right to feel that way. He should have been elated when the boys, identical in looks but drastically different as people, had been adopted together. Sure, it was only a few hours away by train, but with himself, Naoki, and Seiji all staying relatively close to Musutafu, he couldn't help his protective instincts flaring. Tokyo wasn't so far away, and neither was Kamui Woods Academy. Thankfully, his worries were unfounded. The older couple who'd adopted them were wonderful. The home they'd started their early teen years in had been happy, and now Tadeo, quiet, shy, reserved, was becoming a marine biologist. His love of the ocean, its flora and fauna, at the heart of what he wanted to do. It was thanks to their long emails, chats, and time spent together that he'd done everything he could to ensure that the Noroneko only used sustainable fish products and opted out of packaging that could end up in the sea to damage it. Takeo, loud, confident, fearless, however, had fallen in love with martial arts beyond what he and Moto-sensei had taught him growing up, and now he was plowing through his first year of a martial arts theory and practice and sports psychology single honors degree. Moto-sensei had pretty much assured them both that since he and his wife had no children, the aspiring young man would be able to inherit his Tokyo dojo if he wanted to. There had been a lot of happy tears shed that day, hadn't there? Oh, we can finally wait to be reunited with them all properly. Takeo wanted to run some of the Sunday self-defense classes with him. Tadeo's work experience mentor had given them all free passes to Musutafu's aquarium. Izashi probably wouldn't want to join them on that outing unless he, Oboro, Nemori, and Tomoko found a way to take him. And Naoki just wanted to chill. Yes, this summer he knew was going to be a great one. Hell, he'd even managed to talk Tomer and Dabi into reading through a few local high school and community college study programs. Spinner had been an invaluable ally in this regard, too. I would love to train you both up to work here and keep you on, of course, but you have such potential. You're young, strong, intelligent, and talented. He told them yesterday evening before he'd headed out. You will always have a home here. You will always be loved regardless. I just don't want you to settle. He warned. More than anything, I want you to carve out the futures that you want for yourselves. I want you to be happy, fulfilled, and looking forward to growing up. I don't mean to patronize you honestly, but you're both so young and been through so much. You deserve to enjoy yourselves and build lives you love, you know? Because sometimes loving people meant building their wings to help them fly away, didn't it? And now Monday morning, rearing its head once more, Shouta found himself waking at 4:47, rolling off of his futon to work out and setting himself up for the day. A day that he was sure would be just like every other Monday. When would he learn to expect the unexpected in his life? He put his bread dough in to bake, like usual, booted up the smart till, no problems, seen to the cats, a jar, and gone for his run. A run that the tots didn't join him on, but as he made his penultimate lap, he found Lieutenant Sigarami driving past him, the brows of his dog-quirked face lifting up. Yeah, he was pretty surprised to see him too, slowing down to a jog when the other pointed to the roadside. So he'd been on his way to the Noroneko, where he was pulling up. Shouta approached the unmarked vehicle's driver's side window as it rolled down, a smile trying to stretch his lips. But who showed up at 5:20 with good news? As he greeted the older man. "Hi," he said. "What are you doing in this neck of the woods so early?" "Huh, I was hoping to catch you before opening hours and had contented myself to wait in my car until a more reasonable time of morning to call you," the glove wearer admitted, his jowls somehow pulling a wry smile. "I didn't mean to intrude upon your unofficial patrol of the area. Unofficial pro-hero Catman." He tried to chuckle, but he could tell from the bags under his eyes, darker than his own god, that the police force officer was struggling with something. "I still can't believe that All Might used that as my official code name," he admitted before, well, the morning was rolling by, wasn't it? "How can I help you?" Letting out a tired little laugh, the law enforcer regarded him fondly. "Asking such things is going to get you in trouble one of these days, Shouta-kun." He huffed, his eyes momentarily closing. I mean to ask a favor." "No!" Sat in the Noroneko, his 3 boys filling the first booth, eating their breakfasts, and unanimously decided in their opinions, whilst he and Kenji-san leaned their backs against the frontage of the service bar, mugs of coffee in hand. The eatery owner puffed out a sigh. He was glad that he'd asked them. It was clear, very clear, that they would have been upset if he'd made this decision without their input. "I completely understand your reservations," the oldest of their group admitted, the earnestness of his tone causing Hitoshi to look up at him whilst Dabi glared at his food and Thomas scowled into the onigiri he was eating. "But we take every precaution to ensure that—"
"You know who you're dealing with, don't you?"
The younger of the 2 teens cut in, the crimson of his eyes sharp.
"He's playing you. He'll have reasons that the rest of us can't fathom for this farce and an offer he's made you,"
he ground out before gesturing at his landlord.
"You can't promise his protection. You can't promise anything. Help! There's no guarantee that he won't sell you a bunch of horse shit in exchange now, is there?"
He added angrily.
"I'm aware that no one will know that better than you, Tomura-kun."
The lieutenant nodded, his expression sincere.
"However, in Shigaraki's absence from the underworld, we're finding the power vacuum he left behind rapidly filling."
He sighed.
"His assistance, as loath as I am to admit it, is necessary." "Do you know what isn't necessary?"
Dabi stated, those turquoise eyes burning.
"Putting Sho in more danger than he already is,"
he stated firmly.
"Isn't it enough that he helped you to bag that shitty old man? Hasn't he done enough for you?"
He pushed.
"He's got a life, you know, and is valued by a hell of a lot of people."
He furthered, his brows furrowing.
"I am willing to bet one of those people is the number pro who's suspiciously absent from this little discussion."
He grinned.
"Oh, snap!"
Watching as Sigarame balked a little, his shoulders deflating, the dog-quirked man tried to smile.
"You're every bit as sharp as Shouta-kun praises you to be, young man," he chuckled. "And yes, you're right. I am officially here on police force business under the order of the Prime Minister and no one else," he explained. "It took a lot of persuading to insist that I be the one to approach your guardian as opposed to someone in a more official capacity."
"What? They want to try and force him up?"
No, nothing like that."
The officer breathed, his hands raised placatingly after he put his mug down behind him.
"Shouta-kun is a private citizen, and his civil liberties and yours will never be impinged," he stated. I know that it is a lot to ask, especially given who Shigaraki is," he murmured, "but he is adamant that he would talk to our friend here." He huffed his tone, very much suggesting that he was developing a headache. And as unlikely as it is that we'd be given any useful information, we're running out of ideas, and certain powerful groups are running amok. We're aware that some of these groups are known to All for One, that he considers them enemies, but right now, we're at the top of his most tested list, I'm sure.
He sighed. How was the old bastard still causing trouble from behind those monstrous prison walls?
What about you, Shoni?
Blinking, his dark eyes moving to Itoshi, his body already smartly dressed in his elementary school uniform, his onigiri mostly gone, Shouta regarded those eyes, far less tired, so much more alive, and knew what he needed to say.
This is a family decision,
he told him gently, his body walking over to ruffle those fluffy waves of Iris' hair before placing that same hand upon Tomura's hunched shoulder.
I'll not do anything that we don't agree on together,
he stated, his gaze shifting to Dabi.
Your opinions are the only ones I care about, all right?
So you would go if we said yes, you crazy, not so old guy.
For a chance to potentially help the people who could become hurt in whatever trouble is brewing. Yes, I would,
he admitted lightly.
But you're right, it's not my job, and even if I did go to visit him blowing smoke on my ass is something I could do without.
He shrugged, his smirk tilting into a grin when his words sniggered.
But hey,
he said, his gaze returning to the dejected-looking officer.
I have a pie you could take that a bribe him with if you like.
Bustling around his kitchen.
He'd got an older pie blueberry that he'd made on Saturday that the old bastard could have. Shouta checked on the rice cookers. Every grain was cooked and fluffed to perfection. Added the finishing touches to the bento boxes. Dabi had become exceedingly proficient in vegetable picking, and grabbed the 5 trays of freshly baked muffins from the ovens. If only every aspect of life could be this satisfying and predictable. Then his apron donned. He'd had to forgo his usual shower full of full flannel wash thanks to their unexpected visitor. He added his cap and re-entered the service area with a platter of pre-wrapped sandwiches and the bento, his brows momentarily lifting when he found his boys and the lieutenant still talking. Choosing to let them finish, he loaded the display case. It was 6:17. They wouldn't be open until 7, even if a few people liked to show up early to sit beneath the bright parasols outside, and checked his stock of fully recyclable, biodegradable cutlery takeout boxes and hot drinks cups. That also held miso soup for the traditional breakfast lover. Seeing that everything was ready, the cafe itself, including the bathrooms, was spotless to his usual exacting standards, he re-entered his primary domain to grab the pie he boxed up after he'd taken the cakes he'd made yesterday out of the chiller to finish decorating once the dog-faced man was gone. Wonderfully, both of his teens were working shifts today. Tomoko, as always, would swing in at 11, even though she didn't start work until 1 o'clock. She'd become a real fixture in their lives, and he couldn't be more glad about that. He insisted that they all take regular breaks and keep looking into courses to try, though. He'd spoken briefly to Mao Masa yesterday when he and Sanza had come for their training about the work Tomogo had been forced to do by his uncle. The police force hadn't been able to trace many of the tutors. However, Shigenaki had signed him up with 2 notable online schools who, upon their request, were more than happy to send the teen's qualifications to the Noroneko for him to have and keep. Small mercies.
Shota-kun? Is that a pie?
Grinning, the cook shrugged his shoulders.
Since I can't risk my business reputation or jail time, you'll find that it isn't poisoned or tampered with in any way.
He chuckled.
More's the pity, right? Would you be alright to deliver it in person?
Blinking, his brows raising, he carefully looked from the officer to his boys, his eyes narrowing slightly.
We've already decided that
this guy threw your whole logical approach tactic at us.
Dabi told him, a small smile threatening his face.
Thanks to you and your ways, we were helpless against it. You know, the greater good and all that. He chuckled before getting up with a huff and joining the dog-headed man. But it's just one visit, right?
Of course,
Kenji-san replied with a firm nod.
And with our deepest thanks,
he said reverently.
You've got an excellent young family here, Shota-kun,
he stated.
Would I be able to collect you at 11? They tell me your establishment is relatively quiet at that time of morning, and Shiratoko-san will be here to assist them, yes?
Sighing, he purposefully sidestepped so that he'd be in Tomura and Hitoshi's line of vision.
Are you two also sure that you're okay with this? It's only fair, right?
The dot replied, his cheeks pinking a little.
You went out of your way to help us, so it's kind of wrong to stop you from trying to help other people, too, you know?
Oh, Toshi.
And as much as I hate him and hate that he's still trying to meddle in our lives, considering the life you saved me from, the life you wanted me to have, if there's even a chance of him getting the police force information they can use, then yeah, like our small little brother said.
He grinned, his arm looping around the boy who snuggled into his side.
That's worth a shot. I never really met anyone in his organization other than Kirokiri Garahi in place, but I know there will be other people loyal to him. Fanatics looking to keep his seat warm and bust him out, if nothing else.
He huffed.
Just try not to let him get into your head, alright?
Having decided to keep Hitoshi home for the day, he rang the child's school, confirmed that Tomoko would be coming at her usual time, and smiled genuinely when Mori texted him too. Midnight. Café Super Special Assistant number 10, reporting for duty, cat dandy. God, he had such good friends, didn't he? Then, together, he and the teens had seen to the normal breakfast rush with Hitoshi, his own apron, cap, and name tag on full display, eagerly checking on customers and handling small not hat orders, before he'd excused himself to get a shower and change into his oldest, cheapest suit. He wouldn't be wearing his high blue finery for that crotchety old bastard, and just in case, no tie, no fancy shoes, his hair tucked back into a neck-nape wild-tailed bun. Then when Tomoko and a girlfriend, damn it all, those two seemed to be made for each other, had arrived, he'd hugged his boys goodbye, grabbed his phone and the pie, and headed out to meet Sugarame as his unmarked car pulled up. Wonderfully, Sansa and now Masa had left the car at his approach. Aizawa-sensei, who'll stay with your family and keep them updated, okay? Their forms determined, their hands carrying laptop bags and their bodies decked out in civilian clothes. Waving them off, he slipped into the back seat, packaged pie in hand, and nodded to the dog-quirked man as they pulled away from the curb. I'm not sure if you've done it intentionally or not, Shouta-kun, he murmured, his eyes fixed on the quiet road as he drove around the relatively deserted streets. But thank you for not getting All Might directly involved. He offered, the car soon moving onto busier roads. It hadn't really crossed my mind to do so, he admitted mildly. Why do you think he object? Watching the other man's brows roll sharply, the lieutenant chuckled. Object might be too soft a term, he chuckled. Forgive me, and please, I don't mean to pry, he added, the car now merging into a heavier stream of traffic, the flawless sunny sky reflecting off the taller glass-fronted buildings of Musutafa proper. But the two of you are close, are you not?
Feeling that weird hints of his face once more, that strange feeling in his chest having returned,
the cafe owner suddenly found the buildings, billboards, and the odd dotting of leafy green trees incredibly interesting. He tried.
He has become a dear friend and someone who I hold in high esteem. He admitted, we are having a date, not this week, but the week after.
He confessed, his cheeks pinking a deeper shade of red.
Why? Is it that obvious?
Chuckling, his tone fond and eyes glinting.
Honestly, he snickered, I don't think that man could make his intentions toward you any clearer if he walked around with a t-shirt that read Cat Dad's #1 fan.
He continued, the eyes meeting in the rearview mirror.
What?
Shouta-kun, really? He laughed, the tension that had previously filled the car now dissipating.
When I told the hospital that you were his significant other, it didn't take any convincing on that man's side of things to get you access, let me tell you.